Hello everybody, it is me, your unofficial guide to Gramgrace. I can't rhyme that. So today we're bringing you yet another Gramgrace video because apparently I'm one of the only YouTubers that has talked about Gramgrace for more than 5 seconds outside of all the test videos that Top Deck Heroes do. Shout out, go support them. Today's gonna be a deck profile video because this little build right here actually managed to sweep like 2.5 different chops. Almost won the last one, but I was being way too greedy about the way I was guarding in a couple of those games and ended up losing, so. I mean, I literally had the games, I just felt like baiting out a trigger at 4 damage, and then they crit me. So we're gonna do things a little bit differently today. I'm gonna show you guys the video and have me up there or down there, wherever I decided to put it, just throwing some extra commentary. So we got over to camera number 2. As soon as I remind you guys to help support the channel by picking up some Raise Energy, code Skyward should save 15% online. Of course Coney's the starter. Why would my dog ever not be the starting Vanguard in any Keter deck ever? For a real quick refresher on how Graham Cracker Dragon works, he basically has 2 different skills. First of all your personalized do get that extra 10k power in the back row as well. And more importantly for that main skill, you're going to be able to draw a card, then call a card to the back row, and that card gains the ability to attack for the back row. Just like Magnolia, you get 4 attacks this way. Not to mention when the card behind him finishes attacking, it goes right back in the soul unless you draw a card. So theoretically, you get to draw about 5 cards off this boy a turn. 1 for draw phase, 1 for effect, 2 for twin drive, and 1 for the other effect. You'll basically build up hands every single turn. Of course, Gramgrace does not have his own ride line until the trial deck comes out, and that's kind of mid. So I've been messing around with a couple different ideas. This time, we're doing some right round boys. Basically, this is the only one that really matters because he activates when you rode upon by this, and he activates when rode upon by Soul Rhyron, which we'll never do, so he's literally just there because this card exists. When you go boom, you get to declare your top card, and you decide if it's a normal unit or a trigger unit. If you guess right, add that card in your hand. If you guess wrong, that card either goes into the soul or back on top of the deck. You will always declare normal with this. It doesn't matter if you're wrong or right, you will always declare normal with this. Guess right? +1 in your hand. Cool, you drew a card. Guess wrong? Oh no, you showed off a trigger. This sucks because your opponent now knows what's on top of your deck. Game to guard against it. However, this is also great. This is bait. This makes your opponent say, oh hey, do I want to crit early or do I know that I'm gonna guard this? And because I have less cards in my hand for my grade 2/grade 3 turn. It's a really cool control tech if you think about it that way. And it does give you an optional +1, so really good. A couple of other ride line options. There's always the classic double maple. This basically says that whenever you pay a cost, as long as these girls are in the soul, shaboom, persona ride, shaboom. Just make free cards. It's literally the best 2 glitter cards in the game. For the fact that you can just make free ride line text in 2 different nations. Or of course there's the classic Marin into Blaster Dark, which is not bad giving you the ability to have twin drive on turn 2. However, I don't know if I would personally recommend that in this build because number 1, it does cost a nice little counterblast right there, which means you can be denied if your opponent sees the Marin coming and passes turn or whatever. And of course, like I'm going to allude to in a little bit, Gramgrace draws a lot, so you might not want to be drawing that early in the game. Of course, this card does entirely rely upon his ability Persona Ride, so we are going to be running all 4 copies of it and the story. Then in order to help cycle those guys out, there is a promo. This little girl riding a beetle thing. Looks like an opponent trigger, is not an opponent trigger, who says that if she's in the back row at the end of your turn, if your Vanguard is the Gramgrace, you'll be able to pop her off, take a grade 3 from your soul and that right back to your hand. Let's say you're on a Persona Ride turn just like that. Guess what? You got 1 in the soul. So you go boom, boom, and it goes right back to your hand for next turn to Persona Ride. Shaboom. Or alternatively, you could be, what I've been doing in this deck that's super cute, is if you do happen to open a Gramgrace or have 1 in your hand somehow, go activate skill, draw, call the Gramgrace, a swing. He go in soul for skill. By the way, bye-bye, you get the back. It's just free. There's other ways to use this card, of course, but like 99 out of 10 times you are going to be just cycling a Gramgrace. For a couple other Persona Ride techs, you could run this stupid common who, I don't know why no one's touching him outside of premium. Basically says that when you place him Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 2 or greater, put it right on top of your deck. You may think this is pretty meh, however, think about it. Once you have another Gramgrace and Soul from Persona Ride, or even maybe you discarded 1 for Ride Line or something, call, stack the boy on top of deck, activate Gramgrace skill, draw your second Gramgrace, and just call whatever as an attacker. He combos really well, actually. Like, I've been playing him pretty successfully in a couple different builds. So make sure you pick these up. Just in general, it's a really good common for premium because of reasons. And in this deck, and I think some other Persona Ride Keter decks, you can definitely try them out. Or, of course, just drink from the cup. I mean, this thing gives you a Persona Ride for free. I just didn't have room for it in this particular build, and because Gramgrace wants to draw units. You see how this has some unit stats on it? You see its attack and defense right there? It's got triple drive. You can see that it's got triple drive on it. Outside of the grade 1, Gramgrace does have one other promo I should mention. I just not the biggest fan of him because he's a little bit more particular. And that is Ferberberbail. So this is a grade 3 attacker. It says if he's in back row center, aka exactly where Gramgrace puts cards, you got the ability that when he goes to Soul, you can Soul Blast 1, discard a card, then your Vanguard's gonna get a +10 in a drive check. Effectively, it's a Soul, and then they Soul Blast 1, so it's a free effect. I guess it's good. I just feel like, I'm not gonna say Gramgrace is a Peace Reliant deck. I'm gonna say that Gramgrace has better options. Still not bad though if you do want to get triple drive on your Vanguard. And apply a little more pressure because with your back row center attacker, Gramgrace is never gonna get a boost. And at most will just be a base 23 for Persona Ride. Of course, the benefit with Gramgrace's ability to basically draw a card and call a card, you're gonna want to be doing a little bit of deck manipulation, a la any self-respecting Genesis / OTT deck. Hexorb. It's a Hexorb card. It's a Hexorb card. It's a Hexorb card. I swear to God, this is like my go-to tech in literally every deck. You just check your top card, scry the top or bottom. If it goes to the bottom, it gives +2. Free scry. End of story. Don't forget the other scry dragon. This one lets you scry too. And that's the free scry is going to be this girl, who is really good in this deck. She has 2 skills. First of all, when she's discarded during your ride phase, you can be able to Soul Blast 1, draw a card, just like any of the other cycle cards. Her Persona Ride ability, though, which, once again, I can't say Persona Ride enough, this is a Persona Ride deck, is the Counterblast 1, check your top 2, and then you can add one of those cards to your hand, and the other one goes to top or bottom of deck. So subscribe to and add one to your hand, really good to help cycle and stack a trigger, and if you don't see anything that you care about, just bomb deck it, next card in, done. And then speaking of new cards that are expensive for no reason, we also got this guy in the deck. I run 4 of them. Cycle grade 3s all share the same skill of if your opponent happens to drive check or damage check a trigger, he gets a +10/+10, effectively making him a 23k / 10k guard if you guard with him from hand or like play Bastion, I guess, which is really good to help neutralize triggers. However, the important part is the second skill, the unique skill for Keter, which is when he attacks, look at your top card. You get either on top or shoved in soul. Without saying anything else, you got yourself another Scribe Boy. But it goes on, of course, because after you do that, you can counterblast 1 if you want to perform any of these following. Either choose one of your opponent's Vanguards that's 14k or greater, and he has that power himself. Once again, if your opponent triggers, so you'll be at 23k. Yo dog, what up? I'm getting my +10/+10 for skill. By the way, also I'm gonna gain your 23, making me a nice little 46k on his own for absolutely free. This is stupid. Then if you have an over trigger, you could also get rid of that to give some other cards power, I guess. I don't ever care about that. He's a big chunky Scribe Boy. Very good. This is just like your key target to play if you have nothing else to do. And if your opponent does not get rid of him, you just constantly have this big threatening 23k for free. Then we move on to a couple of miscellaneous techs in the deck. I've been running this for a decent amount of time, speaking of Hexorb cards. That is a great one from Redline, the Tier Square Sorceress, who, if you ignore her first effect, because it doesn't matter, when you drive check a trigger unit, Counterblast 1, choose opponent's front row rear guard, and submit to bottom deck. This gives you a Gear Chronicle spin, gives you a little bit of control in the deck. You're not using too much Counterblast, so you can afford to do it if you want to. But like, this is easily your card that you can switch out if you don't want to do control style. There are plenty of other options. Pure Tech grade 1s, you do have several options. I'm just going to mention these 2 right now. First of all, draw Power Angel. Luard's best friend in like 10 minutes when we get the Luard deck. Let me know if you guys want some Luard news, I guess. I feel this like is just grade 1 the deck. And this is a good one. Just Soul Blast 1, pop her off, draw card. Really good, but like I said, Gramgrace draws a lot, so you don't necessarily need her, and you do want to keep some things in the soul. Maybe me? This one's good though. I thought this would be a card that was literally just meant to break the rock. However, Enunciate Angel actually pops off whenever you ride a grid, aka Persona Ride. So, another use for Soul Blast, unfortunately. Deck's a little weak on Soul, but it does give you a counter charge, and your Vanguard with extra power. 2 really good effects for the price of Soul Blast. Not bad. Definitely keep those in mind. I have been running it in a couple of builds in the past. Of course, if you just want to have more Gear Chronicle style removal bottom decking cards and don't want to use the Counterblast, you can trade that out for an on-hit on this grade too. Pretty good. I've tried him out as a pressure attacker, and with plus 10 to your whole field and multi-attack, pressure isn't bad. What you definitely don't want to take out though is literally the best card in Keter Sanctuary, and that is a grade 3 that has resist and the ability for on-hit countercharge soul charge. Why has this card been around since set 1? Literally gives you resist by the Wigan Diva or whatever, I don't know, and it gives you on-hit effect that actually matters. If you resource management will kind of force both effects, which kind of sucks if you don't want a soul charge. But hey, resources are free. It's a grade 3 free overtrigger. By the way, we run Keter overtrigger, and yeah, it is. Boy, it's filled with swag. Like, pick them up. Just have Facadas in general. Then finally, we got my cute tech of the deck, which is just a 13k beater. Literally all she does. Just if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, she is plus 5 on the attack. Gives your body a decent booster, I guess. I don't know. You just play her and turn her sideways and say cool 13 swing. Then finally, we got the boring stuff. You know, you got your perfect guards. We do 3-in-1 because grade 4 decks and strat decks still exist. If you don't want to do that, you just run 4 of that, I guess. I don't know. It's a zebra. Look at this thing. It's a zebra dragon. Triggers, I just explained the over trigger. Ours once again gives your rear guards the ability to drive check. This is great when you run a lot of grade 3s because you get a good 6 drive checks for free that turn. And oh wait, I lied. Don't forget that Gramgrace gives you a 4th attack from back row. So you can have up to 8 drive checks in your turn with this card. Really good. I can see you run like red or blue if you want to cycle or give someone a restand, but like, you're already getting 4 attacks. Just give them all drive checks. Keter is one of the best ones for a reason. The only thing with this kind of card is that you do want to play aggressively. So a lot of times I will just try to open another grade 1 and say, by the way, if I happen to hit over trigger, I have someone else to give it to. Very similar to the way that Brant plays. It's a very double-edged sword. You want to play aggressively to get the most out of this, and you want to just feel stuff as soon as you can. And we are running 4 draw triggers in this deck. I feel like that's the normal amount to run in here because you do want some piece in your hand, but like I said, Gramgrace, you effectively draw 5 cards a turn. I have had builds of this in the past where I ran a couple of like on-place draw effects, and you effectively deck out every time. 4's enough. If you want to run fronts, that's cool, but like you will have back row attackers, therefore having the ability to give some power to back row is pretty good. Then the rest of the set's pretty average. We got 4 effect crits, 3 of the correct crit because she's a freaking armor witch, and of course 4 heals. I still haven't decided on which special heals I like. I'm just kind of running these in general for going second, but like, comment down below. Let me know which you think is the best of these special heals. I know that you can run the crit ones, it's really good against Ava, or the restand ones, Flagberg, Bruce. I don't know what restands itself. Besides the new overtrigger, I don't know what competitive decks actually restand themselves, because a lot of times you'll see restand effects from something like Next Stage where it turns into a new card, or something that resets board with a new attack. So, yeah, comment down below. What do you think is the best special heal? I'm just rocking these out because they're good for you. Give a second. So that's a quick review of how Gramgrace actually works in this game. Essentially, it's a 4-attack deck that lets you constantly control the flow of your cards and has a gigantic card pool in all of Keter's BS that lets you just do pretty much whatever you want. I think like the only big deck I've been playing against this with is Gandiva, which is a little concerning because with all that control and hand, Gramgrace is essentially turning into just draw those 5 cards a turn and hope you draw in something good. But I mean, you do get second attack and it clears itself off the board, so I can see that counterbalancing a little bit. So what do you guys think of the Gramcracker Dragon? Would you like to see more content on it? Good. I'm currently making another video. A video where let's just say that I'm taking part of Gramgrace and a part of another card and making it better. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see some weird boss fusions in the future, because I think that this video I'm working on is going to be the first in a long line if it works. As always, if you want to help support this channel, make sure to check out Raise Energy or my page on TCG Player to get cards or energy drinks. And if you're new here and enjoyed, make sure to click that little subscribe button down below for playing more coaster and card game content. Until next time, always embrace the infinite. I got Shadowverse stickers back here. I went to the Shadowverse demo. It's an okay game, I guess. I'll maybe play it if people in the area do. This one's the draw power card I was talking about. It's literally Counterblast 1, draw card, and choose extra power, which effectively makes your Gramgrace play upon agree, drawing 2 cards and getting a thing that swings for 25 to draw you another card.